beep, 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 beep. Welcome, good people, to the Edijester. How are we? Please do come and join us as a warrior teacher. Subscribe to this and put notifications on so I can increase my number of followers and do the usual, keep me going, blah, 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 blah. Let's go. Okay, now, there's a bill in there currently going through at the moment, another one of these interfering government bills, and the Equality and Human Rights Commission, the EHRC, run by Baroness Faulkner, have given the government a prod. Gone, here, oi, look at this. This is the type of bill that really just looks anachronistic in today's day and age, but is absolutely the purview of governments who want to control everything. And it's not just Labour, it's any government that comes in. We're completely lost at the moment on this kind of thing. And this, I think, gives us one of the most extreme examples of how lost we are. So I've got it in here. Let's do a reading. Let's have a look and see what they've got to say, and see whether or not you think any of it is worthwhile, or whether you think I'm right, or whether you think I'm as mad as the proverbial hatter. Up to you, right? So here's the headline: pubs could ban patrons from talking about transgender rights. Overheard conversations could amount to harassment of staff. Equality and Human Rights Commission warns. Yes, that's the headline. Okay, that's the headline. You'd think to yourself, load of rubbish, clickbait. It's the Times. Load of rubbish, clickbait. It's never going to happen, never going to happen. Yes, it is. Okay, yes, it is. So don't fool yourself into some nice, cozy little idea that this isn't a serious threat. It is most certainly a serious threat. So we shall begin with: pub could ban customers from speaking about contentious beliefs such as religious views or transgender rights over fears of falling foul of Labour's workers' rights reforms. So this is very much what they do, isn't it? This is all about workers' rights. This is all about protecting children. This is all about blah, blah, blah. It's the lie that gets you. So they'll lie about what it is to begin with and then expect the gullible public to fall for it, which unfortunately many will do. The government has been warned by the equalities watchdog that rules could disproportionately curtail freedom of expression and be applied to overheard conversations. Ministers have proposed that employers must protect workers from being harassed at work by third parties, such as customers or clients. If they fail to do so, they could be sued. Okay, so what's the think about that relationship? Okay, I'm in the pub, I've had a few, I'm with a bloke, he's a loudmouth, I'm a loudmouth, some twat in the corner pretending to be something they're not gets offended. They go to the barman, say to the barman, I've overheard this chap's conversation with his friend, and he's offended me deeply, calling me a gusset fumbler and a larper, right? Not me directly, but they're saying that about people like me. Okay, says the barman, I'll have a word. Yeah, that's not going to be a problem, is it? It's just, can you imagine? It's just, excuse me, chaps. Right, mate, how you doing? 20 past 10 at night in a pub. Wondered if I could have a quiet word about trans rights. As if that's not going to be a problem. So the relationship there is the person that's complaining goes to the pub landlord, who is then given that's not the right word, who is then forced by fiat by the government to talk to the individual on the grounds that they might get sued. That's not a problem, is it? Is it just, no, it's just me, isn't it? Just me. This is outsourcing policing. It's outsourcing. This is what they're doing. Harassment is a criminal offence. Harassment is a criminal offence. They've created a society over God knows how many years that likes to take offence, and now what they're doing is, bloody hell, we can't possibly employ enough police officers to do what we'd really like to do, which is make giving an offence a crime. So we'll stick with harassment for the minute, but we'll make the landlord be the one that's responsible, or the employer is the one that's responsible. That way we won't have to employ any more police to deal with the false claims of harassment from people who take offence too much, because that's the world we built. That's what you're looking at. It's utterly insane. Utterly insane. However, the Equality and Human Rights Commission said that this was particularly challenging in cases involving a philosophical belief, such as people's views on religion or women's rights, because many business owners do not understand such topics are protected by equality law. Can you imagine? This is an absolute... This is what gets me. The Equality and Human Rights Commission have gone, yeah, we've only got a problem with a small bit of this totalitarian idea. The rest of the totalitarian idea, we're with you. I mean, we are so shot. We are so screwed in the head as a society. What the Human Equality and Human Rights Commission should say is, this is absolutely totalitarian and it shouldn't be passed at all. But they won't, because they're all part of the same problem. It's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame, isn't it? It's like every bulwark against an overarching, overreaching, disgustingly pathological state is just not there. Not there. There's also something deeper about this. You realise that, right? It's because they don't trust us. It's because they don't think we have a moral code that lines up with theirs. We don't have the same moral code because we wouldn't tell somebody who was harassing someone, "Oh, George, cut it out, for God's sake, leave it alone." All right? And try and discuss this without sounding like some revolting monster, as it because that's not what people do, is it? People don't hold other people to account. That's what they think. At least they don't hold them into account in the way that they would like them to hold them into account, which I imagine is middle class twee and comes with Chablis and a cheese board. I'm sick of this class nonsense now. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this absolute snobbery, and this is snobbery built into law. It's exactly what it is. Exactly what I'm fed up to the high teeth with it. Who do these people think they are? So instead we get obfuscation, right? The legal definition of what amounts to philosophical belief is complex and not well understood by employers. Oh, look, a field day for the law firms, it said. It is arguable that these difficulties may lead to disproportionate restriction of the right to freedom of expression under Article 10 ECHR. The ECHR said in evidence to MPs examining the EHRC, that's confusing now, isn't it? The EHRC said in evidence to MPs examining the bill that many of the reforms have the potential to reduce workplace inequalities. No, they don't. None of it will reduce workplace inequalities. None of it. Because you are going to make people hate each other. I think that's the game, actually. It said sexual harassment by third parties was a significant issue, particularly in customer-facing jobs and for young people, and it supported measures specifically addressing that. Do you know, I worked in customer-facing jobs and worked with clients that were with customer-facing jobs for years. And the vast majority of people are decent. And in any situation where there was a situation where somebody was not decent, the vast majority of people around them turned out to be decent. The cynicism of this revolting, backdoor, pernicious censorship, which is what it is the understanding that the state, currently ruled by Labour, that we put in there, so we got the state we deserved, actually believes that you, as a member of the public, are poorly. They think that you need fixing, love. You know, what you don't understand is that your behaviour is actually discriminatory and is actually, harassment. And it's actually that you're not well because you can't speak like that in public. It is the mollycoddling of a toxic parent. That's what it is. It's just beyond the pale. But protection from other types of harassment by customers raised complex questions, and similar proposals were removed from previous legislation over concerns that it would disproportionately curtail the right to freedom of expression. You know, you don't have a right to not be offended. You do have a right not to be harassed, and that right not to be harassed is enshrined in the law. Is enshrined in the law, right? You overhearing something you don't like is not being harassed. You being told to your face something you don't like is not being harassed. Somebody hating you is not being harassed. Somebody thinking that you're a twat is not being harassed. Somebody taking the piss out of you is not being harassed. You getting offended is not being harassed. You getting offended is something you choose to do, not something that somebody else does to you. This is a very dangerous path that we are going down, and we continue to go down it. We continue to go down it, and it's all basically about the fact that you need to have your thoughts corrected to help the EDI-DIE complex. That's what it is. It's that simple. Why does a law like this even exist? Ministers have admitted in a human rights assessment carried out alongside the examination of the bill that there may be issues around freedom of expression, particularly in areas of legitimate debate which are carried out in a contentious manner. First off, they're saying that there's such a thing as legitimate debate. If I want to debate whether or not starfish are capable of voting, right? If I want to debate something even more ridiculous, like should we take all people below 5'8" and build tiny towns for them. That's for me to discuss with my mates, and it's nothing to do with you. How dare you decide what's legitimate debate? How dare you? How dare you? And then they'll decide whether that's being carried out in a contentious manner. How dare you? How dare you? Second World War was a debate. You know that, right? It was absolutely legitimate to debate. Unfortunately, the debate ended up being a war, which you would see as a contentious thing, of course, right? But we needed to have that debate, didn't we, folks? God forbid, in your twee little, world, that people might actually want to debate something that you don't think is legitimate, and secondly, that they want to do it in a contentious manner. This is riddled with the snobbery of the middle classes. Riddled with it. Absolutely drives me up the bloody wall. As you can see, I'm not a happy bunny this morning. The government insisted the definition of what constitutes harassment, unwanted conduct that has the purpose or effect of violating the recipient's dignity or creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment, is a high threshold for measures to come into effect. Rubbish! Rubbish! If somebody deems something offensive or that they are humiliated, that would be enough, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Violating a recipient's dignity. Could it be any looser? You know what you're doing. Don't lie to the public. You know exactly what you're doing. And besides which, I spend most of my time degrading and making people feel offended. And I don't care. And what are you going to do about somebody who needs to be humiliated and degraded in order to keep their filthy habits out of the social space? How about that? You thought about that one? Have you thought about that one? About the importance and the absolute need for social shaming? No, of course you haven't, because you don't think that we can do it, because you don't trust us, because you think we're unwell and poorly, and because you think that we need to be nudged to do things the right way in order that we can carry out the things that you think we can legitimately debate and do so in a manner which you think is non-contentious. It's vile. It's disgusting. It is parental. This is creating a humiliating and offensive environment. You are the ones creating a humiliating and offensive environment. We have to start seeing through this shit, because this is censorship by the back door. This is censorship, not of speech, by the way. This is censorship of thought and by default speech. If I want to humiliate and create an offensive environment for a lying bloke who thinks he's a woman that's in a woman's space, I'm going to do it. But the guy that runs the woman's space, or the guy that has the woman's space, like in the pub, is going to then have to deal with me, or he'll get sued by the bloke in a dress. You can F off with this shite. We are going the wrong way on every possible level. Every possible level. There should be no laws of this nature on the books at all. If I harass someone, it is a criminal offence. It is the police who deals with that. Not, if this was EastEnders circa 2004, Peggy bloody Mitchell, get out of my pub. It's not, right? Or the bloke that runs a shoe shop, or the butchers, or wherever the hell else it's going to be that this happens. Some bloke practicing his fetish in the middle of the office in the insurance customer service section. And a woman says, right, I'm done with this. Another woman says he's practicing his fetish. He overhears it. Those two women then get lambasted by their boss for harassment, which he can then go to the police and report. And the boss has already said it's harassment. We are going the wrong way. And we're going the wrong way because we are run by people who are terrified of the fact that the entire lying edifice of their control system is falling apart. It's falling apart. That's why the vile left and neoliberals, that's what it is. I'm sorry. I mean, you can't possibly imagine for a minute that this isn't going anywhere nice. That this is going anywhere nice. You can't. Anyway, you tell me what you think, because it just annoys me, this kind of tinkering nonsense. And I'll see you later. And they'll put it in a bill with other good bits. That's what they'll do. They did it with the child bill. The recent child bill is an absolute abomination as well. So is the environmental one. It's all nonsense. Just, you've got to start looking, folks. You've got to start looking for those control levers, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it on a grand scale. Meanwhile, I'll see you later. Come be a warrior teacher and have a grand day. Ta-ta.